y'all, it is Nikki. Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to give you guys a little update on what has been going on my end. So for one thing, exciting, sort of sad news. I had to say goodbye to my faithful steed, Felix, my little Yaris, because of a little disaster that occurred. He sustained some damage and unfortunately it wasn't the fixable kind of damage, so I had to get a new car. Honestly, the timing was not super ideal. This was the last couple weeks of my semester. I'm actually in my exam week right now, so it was a really kind of stressful time to be without a car and, you know, not be sure how I was gonna get to school. But thank the Lord, you know, we got through it. I was able to get to school, get to class, get everything done that I needed to, and today I actually went to pick up his replacement, so hopefully Niles will last much, much longer than Felix did. In addition to the car stuff and just like end of semester assignments and prepping for exams, I haven't really been writing much because of that. I kind of just like put it on hold. But the plan is after this week to just blitz it. I have a couple weeks in between this semester and the next when I would like to just get a complete revision done of my high priority project. So I'll have a second draft that I'm sitting on by the time I start second semester. That said though, there's still like so much work that needs to be done. So I started by designating a notebook specifically for that project and for that world, which I don't normally do. Normally I just use my notebooks for like all things. And on that note, oh my gosh, my head's all over the place, but I finished my beautiful story notebook. This baby right here, which was probably the most beautiful notebook that I've ever owned ever. And now it's done. And I'm honestly kind of sad because I feel like I used it up like way too fast, but it's also somewhat satisfying to start a new notebook. So there's that. But anyway, for my high priority project, I started a new notebook specifically for that. And I've been trying to make like a revision plan, going through each chapter and like trying to preemptively pin down what will need to change in each, just so that I can get a sense of how long it will take. I'm the type of person that likes to know what I'm in for and to prepare for it. I don't like surprises, but that is just me. While I'm very excited to be on break and to be kind of done with this semester, I have actually had a lot of fun with the courses that I had this semester. I've had some really interesting literature courses, including British literature between 1900 and 1950, which I did not think that I would love as much as I have. But we read some cool stuff. We read a couple different T.S. Eliot things. We read E.M. Forster's A Passage to India and Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, which was so interesting. Virginia Woolf stuff is always very interesting. Also, we read James Joyce's A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, which I did not think I would love as much as I did. When I first read it over the summer before the semester, I like hated it, but then reading it again for the course and with the stuff we talked about in the course, plus I had just a great prof, I just fell in love with this book and now I have like a weird obsession with it. Like honestly, fun fact, I almost called my new car Daedalus after Stephen Daedalus, the main character, but eventually I decided that he's more of a Niles, so we're sticking with that. But another cool thing that came out of this semester was my creative writing course, which I know that I've talked about like extensively. It's kind of on the brain because last night I submitted my chapbook, which I didn't know really until this semester is like a small book of small pieces, creative pieces that I think is for like sharing, basically sharing your work with people. We got to do a digital chapbook, which is good because our printer also broke down this semester, so that was fun. But the beauty of this course and of this assignment was that I got to do things that I would never have designated time for if it was just me creative writing on my own time. You guys know me, I like my genre, I tend to stick to it, I like my little rut, my comfort zone. But in this course we had to try different forms, so we had to experiment. It wasn't an option to just like, oh, I'll just write fantasy or I'll just write fiction. So I had to write a sonnet, for example, for one of my chapbook pieces, and I actually ended up being weirdly happy with it. I got to write some creative nonfiction. I dabbled in micro memoir, which I don't think I've ever tried, and I actually loved the result. We read Anne Lamott's Bird by Bird for one of our like readings for this course, and one of the pieces of advice she gives, which I thought was so interesting, was the 1-inch picture frame. Instead of getting overwhelmed trying to describe too much, focus on like what you can see in a 1-inch by 1-inch picture frame and describe that. And that really came in handy in the micro memoir, especially because you're picking such a tiny moment to try and create a whole piece out of. I did do a little bit of fiction, but I actually found that I stayed away from it for the most part and tried like other stuff. And at the end of it, it was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. Like I have this collection of pieces that I'm decently happy with that I never would have taken the time to write otherwise, because I would have just dedicated all my writing time to the projects I've already got on the go. So it really taught me the value of like experimenting, trying new things, and also of observation. I've realized through this course, guys, I'm not an observant person. I really don't notice things the way that I should. I don't like take things in and absorb them and file them away. And that's what good writers do because that's where they get all their material. So this course was really a wake-up call for me in a lot of ways. I realized that I had been sort of just like floating along and not putting effort into certain aspects of my writing, sort of neglecting them, and it made me realize how important those areas are and value of like actually putting time into observation or into, I don't know, cross-training, or even into just having like a really steady and consistent routine, which you guys know I'm not great at. So lots of lessons learned. Hopefully the break between semesters will be just as productive as this past term has been. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, do not forget to spend some time in the clouds today.